On the Let's Talk television program, we share solutions to real-life problems with real people, showing how faith guides everyone through the storms of life. We talk about tough issues that affect all generations. Our conversations help you learn, grow, and lead. Help us continue with this great work by partnering with us today. Call 905-625-1278, extension 233, or visit letstalkca.org. We look forward to your partnership with us to change lives. Let's Talk, revealing the heart of Christ through engaging media conversations.
Sometimes you walk through life alone, wondering if anyone understands what you are going through, hoping someone will listen and offer a word to make your day. The Church of God of Prophecy offers unconditional love and support, regardless of what you are going through. Visit cogop.ca for a location near you. The Church of God of Prophecy, developing authentic disciples of Christ.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk. I'm your host, Woodroe Thompson. As we continue to celebrate, educate, and learn more about the accomplishments and contributions of Black Canadians during this month, I am pleased to introduce to you a very special guest. My guest is the first African-Canadian woman to be elected to the House of Commons. She was elected in the riding of Etobicoke Lakeshore in 1993 and sat in Parliament until 2006. During this time, she served as Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister, Minister of State, and Deputy Speaker. In 2007, she was nominated by the Government of Ontario as Fairness Commissioner, a position created to advocate for Canadians with foreign credentials. Among her many achievements and honors includes leading the motion that allowed for the placement of the famous 5 statue on Parliament Hill in Ottawa, and the motion that created Black History Month in Canada. I know you're watching in your homes, but please help me to welcome the Honourable Dr. Jean Augustine. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Good morning, Bishop Thompson. I'm so very pleased to be with you, and let's talk. So let's talk.
Well, very good. You are a Grenadian Canadian born in St. George's, Grenada. You've served, as I mentioned, as MP, Cabinet Minister, Social Justice Advocate, teacher, principal, and the list goes on. I want to go right back to Grenada and look at this little girl growing up in this country. Did you ever think that you would have been here in Canada and achieved so many things that has impacted Canadians and impacted the world?
That is an important question, and it is also a very good question. The fact is that growing up, and I like to be more specific, in Happy Hill, St. George's, Grenada, in an extended family situation where the old African saying, it takes a village to raise a child,
yes,
where there were so many family around, especially the women in the family, and I was born in 1937, Bishop. And
right.
So those days, the whole colonial situation of Grenada at the time, because Grenada didn't get independence until way later.
Right.
And the school system that I went through was all colonial, Eurocentric programs. And at the same time, I knew about the world. The world was part of the curriculum, part of what we learned. We didn't learn much about the geography of the Caribbean, but we learned about the geography of Europe, Australia, the Commonwealth, Australia, New Zealand. I can reel off for you, Bishop, the kings and queens of England, the wars, right. the wars that were fought, who
right.
were defeated, etc. So I had an idea of the vastness of the world, and I knew that I had to be out there in order to get post-secondary education, because in Grenada at the time, there were no post-secondary.
Right.
The University of the West Indies was just kind of cranking up around the time that I left high school. and I left high school with a colonial education, Oxford and Cambridge overseas school certificate A-level, and took the opportunity to come to Canada. I did not
Right.
have a map that says, I'm coming to Canada, I'm going to be a school principal, or I'm going to find myself in all these avenues advocating and being an activist around things that spoke to the just society and the place of people of color and Indigenous people and Black people in Canadian society, that I would be an activist around that and that I'll get myself into politics. That was not that was not
Right.
the kind of plan that I had made for my life. Actually, the plan I had was to be the best person that you can be, to take all the lessons you learned around
Yes.
the family and in places like Grenada, and bring have your self-esteem intact and
Right.
bring with you all that you learned to make your life to reach your full potential.
Very good. Now, in studying your history, I realized that when you were growing up, you would gather with some of the children, and you would be the teacher. So it seemed like teaching was in the blood from you were growing up.
I think so. I think so. I was talking to a grade school and elementary school a few days ago, and one of the students asked, "What did you play? What games did you play when you?" I think the student was thinking about all those games on social media, on technology. But
Right.
I said no. I said we had no television, we had no radio, we had no what we did was we went out and
Yes.
played school, we played marbles, we played all of those things. And I think, Bishop, that's where I learned very, very early the importance of working as a team, being in a
Right.
team, doing things together, because we did things together
Right.
as children. We learned to play together. We learned to share together. And
Yes.
all of the things that I have been engaged in over my lifetime, thank God, they've all been in collaboration,
Right.
in partnership, together with others.
Right.
And I will say what Bishop Archbishop Tutu said when he received the Nobel Peace Prize. He said, "If I stand tall, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of so many people who have supported me." And so I can repeat that as my own mantra, because it has always been with others, for others, in collaboration with others, and looking at what the society said it was, and looking at myself as a Black woman, as an immigrant woman, growing up, because
Yes.
it was growing up. I came when I was about 21, in a society where I saw so little advantages for people of color, for Black people in particular.
Right. What was it like to be Black and to be a woman in Parliament? What was that like? What was the experience like?
Well, first of all, to be in Parliament is an oh my gosh experience. Look at where I am in this place built by men to do men's work. Look at
Right.
all the gargoyles and all the trappings of the
Yes.
colonial authorities, as it were. And here I was walking these hallowed halls.
Hmm.
And as I went down from one hall to the next, there were huge, huge pictures, paintings actually, of those who had gone before. They were all pictures of men who were the prime ministers, who were the speakers of the House, who
Right.
were the heads of different committees, and all those paintings around. There was only one woman at the time when I got there in 1993, and that was Jean Sauvé, who was a speaker. All the paintings around. and they were all white men. I saw nothing that represented people of color or African people or indigenous people or what, having been the leadership of the political parties of our country. At the same time, getting there as the first African Canadian woman, as the first Black woman, and being assured of who I was, knowing fully that I was a Black woman. There was no way of disguising that. And at the same time, when I looked at the fact that African Canadians were in this country since 1603, that we have documented evidence of our participation in the War of 1812, that we had documentation about the first enslaved young boy being baptized in the church in Montreal. His baptismal certificate is there. We have evidence of the United Empire loyalists bringing with them enslaved people. We knew about the Maroons who came. We knew about the Africans who could not find a living or eke out a living out of bad land that was given to them. We know about the ships that left and went back to Liberia and Sierra Leone. And we know that as African descended people, that we participated in every aspect of Canadian society. And so I knew all of that. And I brought all of that with me to the Parliament of Canada.
Right.
And I knew also that there was expectation that as the first Black woman, by the way, Bishop, there were two Black men before me. There was the Honourable Lincoln Alexander,
right,
and Dr. Howard McCurdy.
Right.
But by the time I got there in 93, they were gone.
Right.
So I knew that I was not just Jean getting into the Parliament of Canada, but Jean, the Black woman, the immigrant woman, the woman who came to Canada as a nanny, as they would say, and who worked my way through all of the systems to get myself there. And I jokingly tell the story that when I got there, there were tons of letters of congratulations from people from all across the country. But there was one letter that stands out with me, and I think I have it somewhere. It was from a Black man in a prison in BC, British Columbia. And his letter said, "I am so happy that you are now in the Parliament of Canada. Now you have to get me out of here." So I realized that everybody was watching, that somehow we all knew that one of us had broken through, that one of us found ourselves in that austere and the place where legislation is made, and that there was expectation, that I was not representing just me and the constituency that sent me there, but that I was, I wouldn't say a symbol, but I was a representative of all Black folks.
Yes.
So if I fell on my behind, it would have been everybody failing.
Well, you are still representing us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dr. Jean Augustine. Please stay with us.
On the Let's Talk television program, we share solutions to real-life problems with real people, showing how faith guides everyone through the storms of life. We talk about tough issues that affect all generations. Our conversations help you learn, grow, and lead. Help us continue with this great work by partnering with us today. Call 905-625-1278, extension 233, or visit letstalkca.org. We look forward to your partnership with us to change lives. Let's Talk, revealing the heart of Christ through engaging media conversations.
Welcome back to Let's Talk. And if you've just joined us, we're having a fascinating conversation with Dr. Jean Augustine. And it is such a privilege to have you, especially during Black History, because a lot of people may not know that in 1995, you introduced a motion to have Black History celebrated here right in Canada. What was that like? What was the vision behind that?
Well, the vision started not with me, but the vision started with someone called Carter G. Woodson
Yes.
in the
Right.
United States in
Mhm.
I think it was 1926.
Right.
And when he realized the vast extent of knowledge that there was to be had of African peoples going all the way back to those early days, he felt that everyone in the United States should know that history of
Right.
African Americans. And so Black History started, and the selection of February as Black History Month, and the week, it started in 1 week uh, where there were two important birth dates, which meant that there were two important holidays. The birth
Right.
date of Abraham Lincoln and the birth date of Frederick Douglass.
Right.
And it was a sense that if there were 2 days that people were home and they would bring their children to the library and they would do some reading. And it went from 1 week to the 1 month, the month of February. We
Right.
were following this here in Canada in different areas. We had the men who were working on the railroad bringing back pamphlets and posters and talking about the history of African Americans and people who were making progress and people who had been part of the civil rights, etc., etc. And
Right.
so we knew that in the city of Toronto, we knew that this was happening. But we wanted this to happen because I can tell you, as a teacher, as an educator, teaching grade 7, 8, and being principal of large schools, there was nothing in any of the modules that
Right.
talked about Indigenous people, about land claims, about residential schools, or about treaties. Or I learned nothing and taught nothing about that because it was not in our books.
Right.
The issue of African Canadians, who we were, where we are in the society, the contributions that we were making, there was very little, nothing actually, except the Underground Railroad and um, Canada as this shining northern star that everybody was running towards.
Right. And how was that received when that was considered? How was it received?
Bishop, the House of Commons at the time had two new political parties.
Hmm.
The Reform Party, Preston Manning, the Reform Party, and the
Right.
Bloc Québécois.
Mhm.
Those two political parties, having lost the Conservatives, remember the Conservatives really
Yes.
defeated, so the Liberals came in with
Yeah.
with large numbers. The discussion at the time was around um, the free trade agreement, the North American Free Trade Agreement.
Mhm.
The discussions, again, were around trade issues with the United States, so that it was softwood lumber, um, yogurt and ice cream, all of those trade issues
Right.
in Canada and the US. And question period and the committees and everything else were absorbed with debt and deficit and Canada's situation as a basket,
Mhm.
and on and on and on. And there I came along with this social justice about Black people and our presence. So it was not like, come here, girl. It was, um, you want February? Who is going to come for January? You want Black History Month? When are we going to have White History Month? And on and on and on. And remember, I didn't have what you have now, all of that technology around you. I had to
Correct.
see people face to face, one on one, go to
Right.
their office, meet them in the elevator, go sit beside them in question period, and kill several trees so I can have a bunch of the motion under my arm and say, I would like this. Would you support me? And I had to make sure all the 305 members knew, because I didn't know who was going to be sitting at the time when I would put the motion forward. To get that motion written took months.
Yes.
Sending me back with it, the legal people sending me back with it. They said, you do not want to debate, because I said I didn't want to debate. I wanted unanimous consent.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I wrote it, they'd say, too much in here, because I wanted to tell the whole story of our coming, of the Costa, about, all of those things in Black history, that is Canadian history. I wanted to tell all of that. And they kept saying, no, it has to be just the facts. Just the facts, ma'am. Mrs. Augustine, just the facts. And I'll go and we'll write again, and I'll go and so the motion, and I'll read it to you. It's very simple.
Yes.
It says, Mr. Speaker, with the unanimous consent of the House, I move, and I give my seconder. I had a seconder from the Bloc Québécois. I had a seconder from the member from Kootenay East, and I had Spen Robinson, the member for Burnaby Kingsway. So I move, and this is the motion, that this House take note of the important contribution of Black Canadians to the settlement, to the growth, to the development of Canada, the diversity of the Black community in Canada, and its importance to Canada's history. And I ask that we recognize February as Black History Month. There was nothing here that was debatable. And so I was able, when the speaker stood up and asked, is it agreed? Are you giving her unanimous consent for this motion? And the motion was carried. But it was an uphill struggle.
Well, we're so glad that you actually introduced that motion, because here we are now. And as you and I were talking offline, I hope that we will be able to celebrate and educate ourselves about our history, not just in February, but throughout the year. What are some of the things that disappoint you as you reflect on Black history? You had a vision as to what you'd like to see accomplished. What are some of the disappointments, but also some of the things you're proud of as you reflect on Black history?
Yeah, I think I am also, Bishop, a very optimistic person. So I don't look at the dark, look for detractors, or look on the dark side, or the critical analysis that some people do.
Right.
What I see is that before 1995 and that motion, we did not see the African presence as part of Canadian history. We told Canadian history in a very Eurocentric, very colonial way. Yeah. But since 1995, and later on, when Senator Oliver felt that we needed some reaffirmation, put that to the Senate. And there was that affirmation that legally we are now, as government, acknowledging this presence. And therefore, once we designate this, we gave the right, the permission, the authority to school boards, to ministries, to churches and synagogues and mosques, to corporate bodies, to businesses, everywhere in the society, to make sure we do that acknowledgement. And so Black history is not just for Black people. Black history is Canadian history. Because if we are to go back, remember in 1971, we went out there and we said, we are a multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. We acknowledged our diversity. We acknowledge that we're here. We acknowledge the presence of the official languages. So it's important for us to underscore the fact that we have to teach that history. We have to write about that history. And we have to make the importance of the work that people and the contributions that people of African descent have been making to Canada. And
Right.
so we acknowledge that history. Some of it, Bishop, are not nice. The United Empire loyalists brought enslaved people with them.
Mhm.
There was buying and selling of Africans. But at
Right.
the same time, when you look to the side of history, you will see how much African Canadians have been contributing, participating. And so the conversation for me over these many years, or the joy for me over these many years, is the fact that Black history is now cemented all across Canada, all
Right.
across our country. At the same time, recognizing that this is a history that must be told, and told in all its clarity, told in all its forms. So we can leave some things out and highlight some things. And I also recognize that in teaching and in studying and in acknowledging and in having conversations around equality and equity and diversity and
Right.
inclusion, we
Mm.
must tell the story.
Yes.
We must tell that history. We must know that history as being pertinent to who we are as Canadians.
Very good. Now, I know we only have a few minutes left, but this is Black History Month, and I really want people to understand how impactful your life has been and continues to be. So, for example, honors and awards. In 1987, you received the K. Livingston Award from the Congress of Black Women of Canada. In 1994, Pride Magazine awarded you the Canadian Black Achievement Award. 2002, you were sworn into the Queen's Privy Council. You also received the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. 2007, Grenada's University of West Indies praised you with the then Caribbean Luminary Award. 2007, you were inducted as a member of the Order of Canada for your distinguished career as an educator, politician, and advocate for social justice in Canada. 2014, granted the prestigious appointment of the Commander of the Order of British Empire. You have 6 honorary Doctor of Laws, so we can say doctor, 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 doctor. You get the idea. And in 2016, where I live in Brampton, there's a high school that was named in your honor. Now, when you look back at this, one of the things that people look at is that you have a rich legacy. But when you look back at this, what would you like your legacy to be?
My legacy. Thank God, who has sustained me over these many years. And I know, Bishop, that you are in the field where prayers are said all the time.
Yes.
I do not pray, gimme, gimme, gimme. I pray, thy will be done. Thy will be done. So I've asked God, and I ask God daily to make my life a life of service, a life that would serve others, a life that would motivate others, and a life that will be remembered as someone. My legacy, I hope, will be remembered as someone who gave, someone who served, someone who advocated, and someone who was a warrior for social justice.
And very quickly, in just a few seconds, there may be Black women or Blacks watching you, and they feel like they have gifts and abilities that can impact not just the Black community, but the world, the country in general. But when they look at the inequality and when they look at the lack of equity and stuff like that, they're thinking, no, I can't do it. I can't be like Dr. Jean Augustine. Very quickly, what would you say to them?
I would say go for it, take risks.
Good.
Remember that it's important that you contribute and you be there in every place. I also say to you, Bishop, that being an ally, all the friends and others who are not African Canadians, recognizing the history of colonialism, Eurocentrism, the residues of slavery, and all of those things that have impacted African Canadians, that is important that we have the allies and that all of us stand together. Black folks, take risks, put yourself out there, because we are in the conversations now that speak up to the issue of inclusion. The United Nations recognize that, and so that decade for people of African descent ties
good.
in nicely with African heritage, African history, Black History Month.
Right. Well, Dr. Jean Augustine, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I wish we had more time. May God continue to bless and enrich your life as you continue to serve not just Black Canadians, but the world in general. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bishop. God bless you.
You're welcome. Well, folks, that's all the time that we have for today, but let us continue to celebrate, educate, reflect on the rich heritage in the Black community. Remember, everyone has gifts and abilities that can be used to inspire and to add value to people's life. Now, as I listen to Dr. Jean Augustine sum things up, she talks about the fact that she sees herself as a servant and serving others. Would like to remind you that we're all servants and we're called by God to serve others. But I want to just add something in at the end. Remember, God loves us. He cares for us as a people, and he wants to have a relationship with you, wants to have intimacy with you, and that only comes through the person of Jesus Christ. If you'll cry out to him, he will forgive you of your sins. He will enrich your life. He said, I'm come that you might have life and have it more abundant. Let's celebrate the life that we have. God bless you. We'll see you next time.
On the Let's Talk television program, we share solutions to real-life problems with real people, showing how faith guides everyone through the storms of life. We talk about tough issues that affect all generations. Our conversations help you learn, grow, and lead. Help us continue with this great work by partnering with us today. Call 905-625-1278, extension 233, or visit letstalkca.org. We look forward to your partnership with us to change lives. Let's Talk, revealing the heart of Christ through engaging media conversations.
Sometimes you walk through life alone, wondering if anyone understands what you are going through, hoping someone will listen and offer a word to make your day. The Church of God of Prophecy offers unconditional love and support, regardless of what you are going through. Visit cogop.ca for a location near you. The Church of God of Prophecy, developing authentic disciples of Christ.